What's up, everyone? I want to talk about something that isn't heavily talked about in the photography or the photography YouTube community at all. I mean, there's hits and misses of it, but no one really kind of talks about it. So I'm going to do two segments of this video. This video, I'm going to kind of give you the basics, the quick layout of how copyright works for photography, and then in a later video, I'm actually going to get a friend who is a copyright lawyer to sit down with us and give us the hardcore legality details. But here's a quick start. Here's what you should know about your photography, copywriting, what you can do and how you can prevent things. Let's dive into it right now. After you take an image, it actually is yours. It doesn't matter if it's with a camera's phone, with someone else's camera, your own camera, everything, and anything of that nature, even video cameras. Once you yourself presses the shutter, takes the picture, you own the copyright. You own the entire image in its entirety. Once again, no matter what. The common misconception is, well, you use my camera and my lens, it's my photo. Well, no, you lend it to me, because if I say rented from a rental place, photography and all lenses and everything like that, it would be their photo. That's clearly not the case. So you take it, it's yours, but is that the safest way? Well, I mean, you're covered really, if you have the raw image, if you prove that it's yours, you're heavily covered that, well, it's the fact that you took the image. Well, if you want to be more safe, you always have to file for a copyright, for photos. And you can, that could be the safest way. It could be a little bit pricey. The best way to do it is like do them in bulk and everything. I personally haven't done it that way, but I'll tell you a tip in a second how to kind of get around that because you're going through the government system to do this. So I'll tell you that tip in a minute. But you take the photo, it's yours. If you want to be completely safe, you could file copyright for it. Once again, it could be very, very pricey if you don't want to go that route. So your copyright is essentially your property right. Buying a print from someone or buying a CD does not lend them, does not give them, or purchasing the copyright. You can actually sell your copyright to your images of whatever you want. Like if you want, say you think this is worth a $300 fee, etc., everything like that. You could pay to use your image. You can get paid to send your images off. But under the Federal Court Act of 1976 is actually where it says any moment created and documented through photography as videography, you are protected right at that moment. So the moment you go, you're completely protected. And that's actually really key. One big, huge thing that a lot of people get confused about is what fair use is and how all that works in Creative Commons. I'll cover Creative Commons in a second. But fair use, the big thing on YouTube is using, stock photos from website, going to Google Images, finding things, you don't necessarily know 100% where they originate from. Well, the good thing would be to always give attribution. That's one thing I do, and that's one thing everyone should seek to do when they're using someone's photos. But you are allowed to use them for a display of parody, on a public venue, as long as you're not advertising, making money off of it, commercializing the images without the consent. So you can use them in videos, YouTube videos. You see it a lot. You see people using, well, their own images, which is okay, but then you see them using someone else's images, and they usually preference that by saying, oh, well, with their permission. Bam, and they usually give the attribution down in the description. So that's one thing you should always look at and not get confused about, because fair act is really key, and it does save a lot of people. In your owner rights as the copyright owner of your images and your videos, what is included? Well, guess what? You could choose whether or not things can be reproduced or printed. That's huge because you have control. That's where a lot of people, if someone steals a photo, gets it printed, puts it on their website, that's when a lot of people get in trouble, because essentially you're stealing someone's images. So that's key. Another thing, as I said, is displaying publicly. You have control over if someone wants to use it in more of an art setting or something like that, something key in that nature that you have control over, that you say, well, I don't want that done. I did not officially approve that, because that is not covered under fair use. And there is one more, and that is, as I was talking about, the Creative Commons. And basically that's exactly what I described. That is the name for it. When someone says, hey, this happens a lot on Flickr as well. When someone says, hey, I allow my photo to be used for free, not to be distributed, not to be reproduced, but you can use my image, just give me authorship, say, hey, this is from a squirrel, keeps throwing nuts at me. A squirrel keeps, yes. The author says, hey, you can use my images, just give me attribution, just say, hey, the author is blank, blank, blank of this image, either in description, on screen, anything to be really, really courteous, or link back to where it's from. That is Creative Commons. You're not paying a fee for something. The fee you're paying is giving credit where credit is due. And that is, all of this essentially, in the realm of things, is copyright and how you can save yourself, save others, and just be fair and and copyright for yourself. Here's that one tip I wanted to tell you. I did mention that that copywriting can be an expensive thing, especially if you're one at a time, and all depending on what the fees are and everything, all depending on where you're from. But the issue can be, I don't really want to pay, so what do? You can actually put a photo, at a print, a CD or anything, and you can actually mail it to yourself. So, send it out through the post office. It has to be through the postal service, not FedEx, not, anything else like that, not UPS. You actually can mail your own images and everything back to yourself, and that will retain its copyright because you sent it through a governmental system, the federal system, and it came back to you. And the time you rip that out of the thing, as long as you know what you sent, that is when the copyright is retained, as you have the physical package. So that's just kind of a quick tip on something I learned back in college. I've done it a couple times. I haven't ever had to utilize it yet, but I still have CDs with 5 or so images, and then I have that documented somewhere in like an Excel sheet, so that way if something ever comes up, I said, here I go, and then boom, I can present that if I ever need to for legality reasons. Eric Rossi, the guy with the eye. Thanks again for watching this video. I hope this helped kind of explain copyright to you, in a fast, not a totally legal form, but something that kind of gets you, what you can do, what you can't do, what rights you do have right away. As I said, in a month or so, hopefully, around that time frame, I'm actually going to get a friend, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, who is a copyright lawyer, sit down with him and really dive into it, because I think it's really, really essential. Everyone knows what the hell you could do, what you're protected by and what you're not protected by, and what can a copyright lawyer do for you. So that's all I got. Eric Rossi, the guy with the eye. If you have any questions or comments, once again, I know this is more of a basic, not fully in-depth thing, but write them down below. I'll do my best to answer them. As I said, look out for that video in the near future as well. Have a good weekend, everyone. If you're watching this on Friday, if not, have a good tomorrow. Bye-bye.